Good evening. Welcome to tonight's council meeting. Apologize for the delay. Evidently, Mark Zuckerberg's not a Chiefs fan, and we had to re-enter the start key to get our Facebook Live going. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. First thing I'll ask for is agenda changes.
Mr. Mayor, we would ask under new business, item number 7 be added to the agenda, which will be discussion of a contract for sale of real estate of land in the industrial park.
Okay. I'll go ahead and open up for public forum if anybody's here wishing to address the council. Seeing the only audience members are the chief of police and the newspaper, I'm going to go ahead and close the public forum. Unless either one of them would like to speak. Doesn't appear they want to, so we'll close the public forum and I'll go on and ask for the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, after reviewing the consent agenda as submitted, I would make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. Consent agenda stands as approved. We have no unfinished business, so we'll move right away into new business. First item is a seed grant memorandum of understanding, and let Ethan know what he would like from us there.
All right. Included in your agenda were 3 draft MOUs between the city of Halstead and the 3 sub-grant recipients. Basically, these MOUs just spell out the formal expectations in terms of documents that need to be provided, that the city of Halstead will give them corresponding seed grant funds as we receive from the state of Kansas once they've met those grant stipulations for their respective projects. This has gone through, as far as the one between us and North Newton, both their legal counsel and our legal counsel. And then you'll see slightly modified MOUs for the Learning Center of Health and the Halstead Public Library. But basically, this is just kind of formalizing the expectations between the two entities regarding us serving as the parent grant recipient for them and passing those funds on to them. And then their expectations to make sure that they provide us with records as we request, or that they are also keeping, copies for their records for a set amount of time. I don't know if Brad has anything to add on the MOU.
Not particularly. I think it's fairly routine in terms of what it does based on the seed grant.
And we basically set all these up, so we're just looking for council to authorize myself to be able to sign those documents and execute those with the other entities on behalf of the city.
Okay. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the memorandums of understanding, subject to revisions by the city attorneys between the city of Halstead, the city of North Newton, Halstead Public Library, Kansas Learning Center for Health, respectively, and authorizing the city manager to sign documents and execute documents with each entity on behalf of the city.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for our city manager to sign the documents necessary on this seed grant MOU. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries. Next item is our 2023 asphalt street patching and sealing. I have a feeling Ethan wants to lay out a plan for us here.
Yeah, included in the packet was the proposal from South Central Sealing for asphalt repair and slurry sealing. This basically would finish out all asphalt streets that are west of Main Street and then north of 6th Street that we didn't get to last year. This does include the Cedar Drive area as well that is technically south of 6th Street. We just hadn't gone in that area yet. I will note this does not do anything on 2nd Street or North Street. As we've had discussions and work sessions, those are larger street projects that we're looking for. So slurry sealing is probably not funds well spent. Overall, it's basically approximately, as far as the breakdown, and these are based on current prices, about $114,000 for slurry sealing, and then about another $105,000 needed for needed asphalt patching. So total, they estimated just under 266,000. We're asking for 280 because oil prices do change, rather than run back here with a change order based on that. They've been out and measured. You can see the maps were included in the packet kind of what they're doing. Pat went out with them, so I'm sure he'd be glad to answer any questions you all might have on those areas they identified. But this allows us to get hopefully caught or finished up with the slurry sealing we began across the entire city. We're hoping to get that done in about 5 years, and we're in the 5th year of doing this. We would use a majority of the planned street transfer money this year to pay for this project. It doesn't take up all of it, but we're a little hesitant to move forward as we do have the pending 9th and Walnut and the Main Street extension projects that still haven't gone out to bid. So we feel this keeps us in line with moving per that policy directive of trying to do maintenance and repair, not just focus completely on reconstruction. So
Do you have any questions?
I have a few.
Sure.
I'm gonna get asked about, some of the streets on the east side, like Walnut, I think, closer to like 6th and 8th. It's kind of holy. What do I tell people? It looks like it needs sealed. I mean, I don't think it's terrible, but there's definitely some holes there.
yeah, like Pat, you remember when we did?
Yeah, that was 18.
That might have been in the first round of slurry sealing, so it would basically be up if we kind of restarted the map and went back through, and slurry sealing having about a 5 to 7 year life.
Okay.
That would be hopefully on the schedule again next year. I know 9th and Walnut, and that'll take between 8 and, but yeah, that 6th to 8th block will probably be.
So will prices could they go down? What causes these prices to go up?
It's just oil prices, basically.
Okay. So you're not gonna ask us later in the year for another, substantial amount?
No, I mean, hopefully not. We've never seen I think last year was actually probably the most drastic year we had in a jump because of what we just saw oil do early in the year with what we had authorized. But then by the time they did the project, it came in under what they had originally had asked us to authorize for them. So the good thing with us doing this year is they're planning on moving forward and patching like as soon as basically weather allows spring, and then would probably do slurry sealing a little bit later, either in spring or early summer as their schedule allows. So hopefully that allows us to get in as close to possible on these prices. It's unfortunately the oil market being volatile.
You did allude to the 9th and Walnut and how it's not out to bid yet. When do we expect to see that go out to bid, and we will be in the dirt in 2023?
I am, yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful. Talking to Harlan on the last update, we finally got our final core approval on the Main Street extension, and at this point, we were going to bid those projects basically in tandem to
Okay.
try and get the same,
Right.
cost scales on both projects. We've done all the water line work. I think they're buttoning that up this week.
Okay.
So the water line in that area has been completed. So yeah, we just need to go out to bid.
So we can go to bid.
Hopefully within the next 30 to 45 days.
Right, now I want citizens on that end of town to hear this dialogue here, so that's why I bring it up, so, all right, good. Well, where was I? Given that, if there are no more questions or discussion, Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the proposal for patching and slurry seal work by South Central Sealing and Paving for an amount not to exceed $280,000, and approval for staff to sign necessary documents.
Second.
I have the motion and the second to approve our 2023 sealing and patching projects. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item under new business is our EMS services contract cost adjustment. This is our contract with the city of Sedgwick. I'll let Ethan bring us up to par on the rest of that.
Thank you. basically with the current contract, we're in with the City of Sedgwick. We're in our second 3-year contract with them. We did include language in this contract to allow us to modify that contracted price per the December CPI for the Midwest region. Last year, when that was at 7.5%, we recommended a 5% increase, hoping that some of that inflation we were seeing was maybe temporary in nature. Call volume hadn't significantly increased. It actually decreased for Sedgwick in that year. This year, though, call volume has basically remained steady for Sedgwick. They holding around 38% of total call volume during the year. So we are recommending the 6% per that December CPI. You all know through our budget work sessions and whatnot, I mean, we were paying increased fuel costs, increased staffing costs, et cetera. So this would basically move their contract from $178,500 to $189,000 for the year. 2023 is our third and final year of that EMS contract unless we enter into another one, so.
So, why choose 6% when the average in the Midwest was 8% last year? So why the 6% number is
Because that's what the Midwest CPI, that link that was provided, gave us the year to year in December, and that's what our contract stipulated as the number that would be
December
used.
one?
Yeah, the
Oh,
December
okay.
year to year. So, because we were trying to find a point in time index, when the first one we didn't have anything, and we figured out pretty quick we needed some sort of ability to adjust, and so the December year to year CPI was the best we could get to try and get any increase to them in time for them to potentially budget or make changes in their budget as needed for any increase on what they agreed to as an index. It's not necessarily perfect, but it's about the best we have.
So with wear and tear and all that stuff, we're still ahead.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
Well, yeah, the thing was that we wanted to be sure that the citizens weren't subsidizing another community, and so.
right.
Yeah, and there are other, beyond the direct payment from Sedgwick, which this adjusts, we do get, money from Harvey County for providing services that previously would have went to Sedgwick EMS. That does include the area around Sedgwick as well that we took in. The county upped that amount by about, I think 3% going into this year. So there are increases in revenue there as well that help offset.
The mayor from Sedgwick had asked, and I mentioned to Ethan, because he was wanting to be here this evening, but he had another commitment. And the amount from Harvey County, he wanted to be sure you guys were aware, was $43,910.93, I think is the right.
Sounds right.
number. So that adds to the amount that
Sure.
the city's requesting.
Very good. Well, with that, Mr. Mayor, motion to approve 6% increase in the Sedgwick EMS contract price based on Midwest Consumer Price Index, the CPI, for December 2022 per section 5B, the current EMS contract with new annual contract amount of $189,000.
Second.
I have the motion and the second to approve the increase in the EMS services contract with Sedgwick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries. Next up is Imagine IT Services Agreement.
Thank you. As a council, I've probably heard us speak about we originally had managed IT solutions through Gilmore. They merged with Imagine IT. This is basically kind of a housekeeping thing to get a partner agreement that reflects Imagine instead of Gilmore with the city of Halstead. We did get a cost increase back in July, so this doesn't change our current costs. Some things I do like is it basically locks that price for a year unless we make major infrastructure, where before, it was subject, and there's still some, force majeure stipulations in there for them, but basically with our ongoing projects like the dark fiber, believe that continuing with Imagine IT for at least that 1 year term as presented and getting these updated documents signed is a good move on our part. Again, there's no you have the breakdown there, basically, that's our monthly cost. The other nice thing that I like is we were on a quarterly billing, this switches us to monthly, so that helps, even our cash outflow a little bit more than those quarterly billings were. So easier for us to catch any changes when it's monthly as opposed to quarterly, so.
So on things that we've paid out, so it shows like this month we paid, or last month we paid, 436 to IT services. But now it's gonna be 2585.
We should.
Why is that? Or, I'm probably seeing it wrong, but.
Yeah, I think some of that has to do with the bill. Let me find, and some of it might be that report, because when it's broken down by fund, it's, imagine one here. 36. Yeah, let me double check. That could be, for just one of the monitoring services that they broke out, like the backup, and that was hopefully under these new agreements, they're trying to consolidate because we would get like separate billings for our 365 subscriptions and then a separate billing for the firewall and like our internet monitoring or email monitoring service, the Sophos, and so.
So it's about the same then?
Yeah, it shouldn't go up. We might have just gotten, we were receiving about 4 invoices at sporadic times from them for quarterly. They're trying to get everything consolidated into one
So
clean monthly amount.
on their form that they sent, there's a lot of X's. There's a lot of things that aren't check marked, basically, that I could see that we may or may not need. And it says that each check mark will add extra fees. Have you gone through all this and like this is all we need that's check marked? Because I see one that like firewall management. I'm sure you're gonna need that. Managed firewall. I mean, that's not check marked at the bottom or page 8. I had terrible customer service with this company, like horrible, when I was trying to get this iPad set up. I mean, it was just the worst I've ever had. So I just want to make sure that we're straight here.
Yeah, and we can definitely reach out and get some clarification, because to my knowledge, they were and are managing our firewall. That was part of actually what we approved last time with the dark fiber was upgrading those firewalls. But yeah, as I understand it, this covers everything that was basically a covered service with our Gilmore. They call things a little differently. I do think, if we didn't have some of the projects we have currently ongoing, this gives us time to set up, and it's about time that we do another RFP for managed IT services for us.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Look on page 6, Josh. Core system infrastructure, that's marked, and there's your firewall management.
I see that,
Okay,
but it all.
I know.
I mean, are they gonna charge us another fee for once they check that other box? I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah, and we can definitely table, and I can get those answers and bring them back to you all. They want these in place, by April 1st is their deadline, so we have time
That was
to get those
gonna be my
answers.
next question. Do we want to table this until we all, because I looked at that, what we're paying this month. It was under $500. Then I scrolled through their contract, and for 1 month was $2,600 just about.
And we definitely pay more than $400 a month, so I'm wondering if we just don't have all
Yeah, okay.
some of the invoices.
Well, I make a motion to table this topic until next meeting.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to table the Imagine IT Services Agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. We will table that, dude.
Thank you, Josh.
Next item on our agenda, everybody's favorite subject, the Main Street Extension tree disposal.
All right, so basically, you all know, I believe you received those same emails that I did about some concerns. You know, when we discussed the project, we talked about burning in place. That saved us when we bid that out, about $10,000, and what that otherwise would have cost as far as if we would have had that contractor hauled out. I mean, this is the slow time, so there is the possibility of Public Works, basically downsizing the limbs as needed and us hauling it out. Speaking with Pat and Assistant Superintendent Yance, they estimated, you know, probably about 2 weeks. And then our equipment, so the cost to us are, you know, probably anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 was kind of their estimate if we used, you know, the going FEMA rates and stuff, to figure that work. I mean, the plan when we had it to burn it in place is obviously to work with our fire department, burn it on a day where there's, you know, not a strong south wind, you know.
No red flag warnings?
Yeah, no red flag warnings. It obviously, it was kind of hard to gauge, you know, looking at that tree line, how much that was going to build up. And so I do think the size of the pile that ended up there was a little bit larger than we expected. But obviously, I mean, understand those residents and citizens' concerns on burning it in place. Just, we got a rough, estimate from another contractor for them to haul it off. And again, they just, gave us an estimate of 10 to 14,000. So, I mean, there's either gonna be direct cost to the city, and we're gonna have cost even if we burned it on site, because obviously we'd have staff there monitoring, et cetera. We'll just see some additional cost in terms of the equipment and manpower needed to break those piles down and get them to the burn site. But, just wanted to open that discussion, and we'll gladly.
Yeah, we should have thought about that, honestly.
Well, yeah, I would rather see that broken down, like you said, and move to the burn site, have Public Works do it. You know, there are individuals that live over that neighborhood that do have some respiratory issues, and I'd sure hate to get a call that something was aggravated by us burning that. And also, even if that didn't happen, and you get smoke in the houses and it just hangs around for a couple of days, and that in itself is aggravating.
My biggest concern is, Pat, what do we have for equipment to load those bigger?
Our high loader, backhoe.
Okay. You think you can load it with a high loader? Cause we don't have anything with a thumb on it or anything, do we?
Just the mini excavator, but
It won't pick much up. Yeah, well, if you're comfortable loading it up, I was just wondering how we were gonna load that all up.
the high loader and backhoe both have the clam buckets on the front.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
What about making a big pile of free mulch? Newton has done that before.
No. Do we have a
I
mulch?
don't know what the costs are or anything to it, but
You're talking about renting a tub grinder, and that's probably gonna be in the $5,000 to $10,000
Okay.
by the time you get done grinding it. That's just a guess, I haven't really looked into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about some really big
yeah.
logs to deal with.
We basically just want to get moving on it as soon as possible, because hopefully if that 30 to 45 days bidding starts, we need to get that out of the way. And so,
That would make good chips for a walk in the park that we're,
Yeah,
say if we had
put me down for moving it out.
Yeah.
general consensus is for us to use Public Works staff and.
Yeah,
Okay,
if Pat's comfortable that we got the equipment to handle it, I'm good with it.
we'll get it done.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is the Kansas Learning Center for Health brick paver purchase.
This is just a fundraiser they're doing. The city's, supported it. They're selling bricks, is essentially, as you can see, broke down kind of the price there. If the city did, the larger brick, to recognize the city's support of the project. The city has done other methods to support it, so I don't think this is a have to. Just thought I would throw it out there as a, whether the city was interested or not. And us putting a city of Halstead brick paver in that brick paving area as they build that out. So not much there to add that's not already in the agenda packet.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, show participation, and if there's no questions, I'd make a motion for the city to participate in this memorial brick.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to participate as the city in the KLCH Brick Paver Program. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Next item, it was an item that was added, is a contract for sale of real estate, and this is in the industrial park.
Thank you. You should have a copy of the finalized contract for the sale of just over an acre, I believe, on the east side in the industrial park. Purchase price would be $500. That was for the Little Arkansas Drainage District to basically construct facilities. Originally, they had housed facility, housed some of their equipment and stuff in Phil Schmidt's building there on Second. That's no longer an option for them. So just kind of entering in there, the $500 purchase price is just in recognition that they're a fellow taxing entity. We did put in there as far as a clawback that an open-ended structure for storage needs and then an egress driveway improvements. The building had to be 1,500 square feet at least, and they have 2 years from the date of closing to get that building built. Otherwise, we can take the property back through that reversionary interest. And then the other Exhibit C that we've added as well is essentially, or different than just some of your standard real estate contract language, gives the city, in the event that the Little Ark would ever sell the property, at some point in the future, or the Little Ark, as they are a taxing entity, would cease to be due to lack of people running for the board or things of that nature. This gives us, the city, the right of first option or an ability to basically purchase that back in recognition that that is our industrial park land. We wouldn't want just any place to go in and buy that 20 years down. You want to probably make sure that it's, something that's going to be good for the city or appropriate to be in an industrial zone, not just for them to be able to sell to the highest bidder that might want a good deal on land for storage or something. So Brad can explain anything else he wants to in the contract, but they tentatively have agreed. You can see that they signed the contract there, so we would just need to authorize the mayor to sign, and we can get this set up for closing and get that moved off of our plate of something we've been talking about for a while.
Anything to add, Mr.
No, I
Jens?
don't think so. I think Ethan covered all of that. The option at the end of it, it's a separate exhibit and incorporated as a counterpart to this, is a bit unusual, as he mentioned, but for the reasons that were stated, it has validity and a reason for us to put it in there. The term on that is, the lawyers joke about it all the time because no one ever seemed to understand it fully in law school. But the rule against perpetuities, you can't have a perpetual contract on real estate under the common law or any state law in the United States that I know of. And that means it can't go on forever and ever and ever and ever. In this instance, because you have two taxing entities that have, in theory, perpetual life, Kansas has a statute that allows us to put it in place for 90 years. So we went with that in this circumstance. So for 90 years, we have this option, and then after that, it's over. So by then, I don't know that any of us are going to care.
Whole another board to figure it out.
Well, with that, I would make a motion for the sale of this lot to the Little Arkansas River Drainage District and to authorize mayor to sign appropriate documents.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to sell this lot in the industrial park to the drainage district. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That carries. We'll sign the paperwork. That concludes our new business tonight. We do have one executive session scheduled, and I would entertain the motion for that now.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session to discuss contract negotiations, Consultation with, pursuant to the consultation with an attorney on matters that would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationships, exception KSA 75-4319B2. And to ask that in addition to the governing body, the following persons join the governing body in executive session: the city manager and the city attorney. The open meeting and governing body to reconvene in the city council chambers at 8:10 PM.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to enter into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. We will be moving to the back meeting room, council. We are back from our executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result of? Seeing no movement from the council on that, we will move on to the report section of our agenda and start with governing body, and I'll start tonight with you, Denise.
I've got nothing, thank you.
George?
No, sir.
Josh?
No?
Okay. You're up, Ethan. You can do your city manager report and roll right into your financial.
Thank you. Management report, we did get the 2 base grant applications in by the deadline window on January 31st. Should hear back from those hopefully mid-March according to the state, so we'll keep you apprised of that as that comes up. Sent out the formal management report to you all earlier this evening as well. Basically, just finished up on a lot of our year-end processes, getting, W-2s, 1099s issued and mailed per those required deadlines, working with like our work compensation auditors on our workers' comp premium audits, and then did touch base with Miracle Signs, and they are in the production phase on our signs, so hopefully we'll see some them out late February, early March to start install as the weather and production schedule allows on the new marquee. Other than that, we're still waiting to hear back on the hazard mitigation grants. Nothing has been announced. We did receive notification from the state that we got the extension on our water permit for the baseball, softball fields irrigation well. Also have been meeting with the Little Arkansas River Drainage District. They had some ideas and thoughts on the proposed slough crossing there at Main Street. So we're working with Harlan on the plans they provided, or what they would prefer to see the city do, seeing what that cost differential is, what that's gonna do to us permitting, and whatnot. So had a couple meetings with them as well recently, and then have provided some written testimony to the Kansas State Legislature on some changes to vacant property registration that were in committee and trying to work there. So did also, I guess, report that I believe Mr. Reckes put in for a base grant as well for his properties. We did provide a letter of support for that application, so he is also a potential base grant applicant, or recipient, depending. And as far as going to financials, it'll be pretty light January. Finances actually are slightly above where we would expect to see them, but most of that is due to just beginning of year expenses like our work comp premiums, our property and liability insurance premiums that are all due at the beginning of the year. So that's inflating expenditures a little bit, particularly in administration, just as we pay those. Other than that, no real concerns or issues to report. Library shows, being under compared to last year. That's mostly due to the timing of when we gave the library their first check. Last year, we didn't get it out to them until February. This year, we got it to them before January 31st. And then on the gas, did want to report, the state did raise the interest rate on those utility loans to 2.29% based on that formula. So we have started accelerated payments, and you'll notice in the bills and payroll that we're basically making a double payment now going forward.
What was the percentage rate that went to?
It went from 0.25% to 2.29.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
That rate is based on like what the state can make investing it, so it's 2%, basically less than what the state can make. So when they did the program and rates were low, now that they're up, so we've started the accelerated payment there, just to get that, going and knock down it quicker, but in a responsible manner, because we don't want to hurt the gas fund by
Right.
overpaying or overextending. So we'll work there, and we'll reevaluate, about mid-year to see if we can maybe accelerate it even faster than we're doing. But for now, we basically are making double payments every month. So, and that is about all, not a lot of movement yet in the city equipment or capital improvement funds. As you can see, our road project funds are still sitting there until we can get those projects out to bid and see what that's going to affect. And we will be discussing some equipment purchases and some changes we need to make here coming up in the next couple meetings on some equipment, and we'll see some of that get drawn down. So overall, I mean, January's a good year, and we're still riding well off of where we ended the year, so.
Well, I'd like to say that we're fortunate to have a community where we can actually make double payments on that gas note. And even consider accelerating that later on in the year. We're an incredibly fortunate community to be able to do that.
And then the last thing I'll point out is the league did announce their leadership summit and Kansas Mayor's Conference. This is kind of a short conference geared really at elected officials. It'll be April 14th and 15th. It's in Hays, Kansas this year. But if you are interested in attending, just get with Julia or I and we can get you some more information. There's tentative schedules and all that on the league's website for you to check out. But obviously, if anyone wants to attend, we can get you registered and get hotel rooms and all that set up for you to attend that conference, so.
Anybody have any questions of Ethan? If not, that concludes our agenda this evening, and I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And before I sign off, I'd like to say, how about them Chiefs?